Mission Admission is the latest available entry in the Collegeology game suite, which is a series of games we're working here at the Game Innovation Lab with the School of Education, the Poulet Center for Higher Education, on a suite of games to improve college access among high school and middle school students. So Mission Admission is a Facebook game that's designed to basically simulate the college admissions process and teach basic strategies to high school students for time management and understanding that process and putting together applications and trying to get it. We're very constrained in how we think about theming for games in general, and there's a lot of potential to make games fun. So honestly, for me, I'm coming at this from the game side. It's an iterative process, so it's a process of sort of figuring out what the fun part is and figuring out what the educational part is and figuring out how to put a lot of exploration. We do a lot of prototypes and bring in high school kids and have them play them, and that's awesome. They're terrible, but we learn from them, and then we make another one and it's a little bit better, and so eventually we get to a place where they're fun to play, right? But they're still within those constraints of having those limitations. Admission especially is kind of a light role-playing game. Sure. So it's got these role-playing elements, and it's not what you would recognize as a hardcore role-playing game, but we're asking kids to basically take on the role of a high school student like them who's preparing for college and guide them through that process. And so that's really important. And part of that is to give the students, the characters, dreams, like things that they want to be when they grow up, and then say like, okay, now you've got this student, and it's basically up to you to make sure that they take the right classes and do the right activities and go to the school that's going to fit them. And that gets a big response because it's got this role-playing element. It's the role-playing element. It's this sort of caretaking, empathetic sort of element of, wanting to care for somebody that you're responsible for. When you're talking about making a game, when you're talking about making any kind of creative work, you have to have constraints. Right. I mean, creativity comes out of constraint. And when you're talking about a game, usually that's something along the lines of a theming or something that you want to express or something that you want to get across. And obviously, technical constraints as well. What's, I think, trickier about educational games is that those constraints don't evolve the same way, right? Because you pretty much have to set them out at the beginning and then stick with them. Sure. And so you do a lot more sort of really trying to find your way within those, and often what we do is we'll have some like really strong goals that we have to get in there. Right. And then a lot of different ideas that we want to express that may or may not get into the game to the same degree. And that's something that we can play with a little bit more as we're developing. A lot of educational games, like there's this delusion in education that games are a motivation. Right. That you can sort of take educational content and wrap it up in a game, and the game will provide motivation to do math problems or sure, diagram sentences or whatever it is you're doing, and it doesn't work that way. At the same time, games are an ideal way to teach things because they're systems, and the way that you play a game is you learn how the system. And as long as you take your educational content and you say, okay, this is a system now that we're gonna have to make players learn in order to progress in the game. Right. That's a great educational game now because you're doing the players want to learn what you're trying to teach because that's what the game is.